Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most beneficent. Assalamu alaikum, students. Hope you all are fine. Let's start a lesson, that is elephants. This is unit number 1 of Oxford Progressive English of grade 7. Students, in today's lesson, we'll have introduction of the lesson, explanation of paragraphs 1 and 2, words meanings, and summary of these two paragraphs. Let's have a story background. The story is actually a folk tale which has been told by a Burmese man, which takes place in a teak forest of Burma. At that time, Burma was a British Crown colony. Students, some Burmese words are used in the lesson. Let's have a look on those first. As you can see a house in the picture, the house has been built on the poles instead of ground. This is called tie. So tie is a house built on poles or stilts. Sinok, it's the name of a profession, a Burmese overseer. Usi, an elephant handler or rider. Chirut, it's a type of cigar. This word actually has been derived from the Tamil word chirutu. Talking, it's a term of respect used for addressing a man who is considered respectable in a society. Now we'll have introduction to this unit. Students, as I have told you, the story takes place in a teak forest of Burma. And that time, Burma was a British Crown colony. Elephants were used to drag the immense tree trunks into the rivers for transportation. The logs frequently jammed, and then an elephant would use its skills and weight to unblock the jam. At this time, the Burmese workers were under the control of an English overseer, Mackay, an unpleasant young man, whom the men called Mackay Talkin. The day before the story starts, Mackay had ordered the Burmese overseer to send one of his elephants to unblock the mass of jammed logs. Afraid to disobey Mackay, the Burmese overseer had ordered his nephew on his gentle elephant, Sherdog, to obey this very dangerous order. Whilst carrying out the order, the nephew was killed by falling log. The storyteller begins his story just after the nephew has been buried. In paragraph number 1, the narrator of the story explains that after the funeral and burying ceremony of his nephew, he was staying that night, as always, in a Sinnock sty, and he had a sparse meal, and afterwards when he came out to have smoke of chirut. At that time, usually the camp was full of bustlings of daytimes. But that day, he was surprised to see that there was no sound except feathery flapping jungle moths, frogs, and owls. That day, the reassuring of camp sounds were absent. That was very much thing of astonishment for him. The sound he had listened that time was the elephant sound. All Aussies had begun to flee from the camp, taking their elephants with them. In paragraph 2, he tells that all elephants have gone with their Aussies. The only elephant which has been left there was Sherdog, whose previous long familiar handler had been buried. In this paragraph, the narrator tells about the strange behavior of Sherdog, which was still there in camp's vicinity. He tells that she was very restless that day, and obviously that was not uncommon or unexpected, because above all, elephants are creatures of habits and routines. Students, now we'll have summary points. of the text you have read in these two paragraphs. The story takes place in the thick forest of Burma. The elephants were used to drag immense tree trunks and to unblock the dams. Burma was a British crown colony at that time, and the Burmese workers were under the control of an English overseer called Mackay Tokin, who was considered an unpleasant young man. Once he ordered some Usi to be sent with an elephant to unblock the dammed logs. The nephew of Burmese overseer was sent with his gentle elephant Shivdog. The nephew was killed by falling off a log. This incident brought grief to everyone that the busiest daytime of previous routine was calm and horribly silent that day. The sounds of frogs and jungle moths were heard only. All other Usil had begun to flee the camp. Only Shivdog was left there, who was much panicked and restless on the death of her long familiar handler. Assignment. Match the words with their meanings. List A consists words and list B consists meanings. List A: sparse, mount, upheaval, forage. Succulent, locates, momentum, horse. List B is commotion, search for food, scanty, juicy, riding elephant, husky, finds, force. Thank you, students, for being with me.